It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Thursday, December the 7th. Good morning. Oh, my. When I say I'm happy to be here, you cannot imagine how damned happy I am to be here.
How you feeling, Punky?
Oh, I feel like $742,000. Not quite $1 million, but way, way better than none. We spend a lot of time on this show because we just kind of have to, talking about insane travel stories. I mean, we say it at least once a week. We have one that's worth discussing on the show. Someone on a plane does something insane. We could do it every day. We all say that. Oh, we got one of these every day. Yeah, well, I was this close. And when I say this close, I'm holding my thumb and my pointer finger a millimeter away. I was this close to being one of those stories the night before last. and honest to God, the thing that saved me was realizing I'm surrounded by people with cell phones, and they're just hoping. They're hoping I make a mess all over this plane. I left Minneapolis Tuesday night to fly back to Nashville, Tennessee. I just got some stuff to take care of this week. I'm right back in Minneapolis this weekend. Going to be there next week, as per usual. But I had to come down here. Had some appointments, some things that could not be rescheduled. And we have a perfectly fine morning Tuesday. We have a great night Monday night. Everything's good. I go to the airport. But actually, before I went to the airport Tuesday, I was leaving KQ Tuesday afternoon. I went by to say to Tony, "Hey, Tony, I'll see you in a few days." He said, "All right, I'll see you." And he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Man, I don't know. I'm kind of nauseous." I said, I ate a donut. Maybe I think it was that donut. And Tony said, "Yeah, sometimes you just, you eat the crap you're not supposed to eat and you get payback." And I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm driving home going, "Yeah, it's the donut." Well, if it was the donut, then it's the donut that somebody didn't wash their hands before they made. No one else got sick from the donuts, so I don't know what it was. All I know is this. By the time I'm heading to the airport, I'm like, "Man, my stomach's a mess. Something's going on here. I don't feel good about this." But and then I get to the airport. By the way, no traffic, not a single person at TSA at 6:30 p.m. on Tuesday. Hell of a time to fly. I just waltz right through, get to the gate. I got an hour plus to kill to do nothing, and all I'm thinking about is how bad my stomach feels. To the point where I'm like, I might have to cancel everything. I might just go home. I don't know if I'm going to make this. Long story short, I get on the plane. All is fine. But as we push away from the gate, I'm suddenly going, uh-oh. I mean, I'm going to have to, I got to hurl. I mean, there's just no getting around it. I'm not going to make it through this 1 hour and 40-minute flight. And I look, and we are literally going backwards. We are seconds removed from the gate, and I'm looking for the barf bag.
Oh.
And I'm just going, oh no. I mean, this is going to be the worst day of my life.
Do they have the barf bags on the plane? I'm trying to think.
They sure do.
In the pouch?
They sure do. No, you got to ask for them, I found out. Or at least my seat hadn't been restocked. But I can't hit the button as we're literally just pushing away from the gate. And I look at the seat next to me. I don't see a white bag. I'm like, okay, look to the other side, no white bag. I'm like, okay, this is a cruel joke. And I'm like, okay, as soon as we take off. But, I understand the pacing. Okay, as soon as we push away from the gate, we're going to back up. Pilot's going to give some announcements. They'll play that little video. That's 6-7 minutes till we're in position. And I'm looking out the window. I'm looking out the window going, well, there's not that many planes. I don't see a lot of planes in front of us. Sometimes you can see the lineup. And then the pilot says this, from the flight deck, we're going to have to go de-ice before we get in line for takeoff. And I'm like, oh, my God, I got to go through the de-icing. And that was about 20 minutes that I hadn't planned. And this is, and by the way, I'm just going to pat myself on the back, a pure, an incredible once-in-a-generation display of Zen calm. It was all I could do not to throw up all over me and the guy sitting right next to me because and then I'm watching the thing de-ice the whole plane, and as the de-icing stuff is shooting all over the windows and he's coating it, I can see that. You know what it looked like, that Pepto-Bismol ad where it shows the pink amoeba stuff going, and so the de-icing is making it worse now. And I am kind of panicking, and I'm getting clammy and sweaty at the same time. And I'm tapping. I mean, I am breathing. I'm going through everything I've ever learned in a life of spending way too much time moving to not throw up. And hand to God, I've never been that close to vomiting without vomiting. The second that ding went at 10,000 feet when we took off, I was like, excuse me, get
You're
up.
all clear to evacuate your
Back to the bathroom. And I don't know. Hey, listen, I don't know if any of you guys have thrown up on an airplane bathroom lately, but it's not good. It's not fun. There's nothing about it that's good.
No, you're a tall guy. Can you get your ass out and head down into the right position? I'm just thinking. The logistics there in the bathroom. And are you a loud barfer?
Sometimes the universe pays attention because if you remember, I did mention after Thanksgiving, I started back at yoga. So I'm just going to attribute that to getting my body back used to the idea. It was very close. It was very tight. And to answer the second question, which is far more important, I'm an extraordinarily loud puker. I can't help it. And I let loose, man. And all I'm thinking the whole time is just thank God I got to the bathroom because I was walking back. I'm walking down the aisle of the plane thinking, this is going to be on video. If you don't get to that bathroom, you're going to be viral. Not virus laden. I think I already was. I'm going viral, and I don't want that to be the case because then what would I have? I mean, I love making fun of people like me on planes all the time. I can't be one of those people.
Oh, you would have given us something to talk about.
What a fun story that would have been yesterday morning.
I had, and by the way, back to my seat. Guy next to me who's clearly, somewhat perceptive. He's like, yeah, right. And I'm like, nope. No, I'm not. And probably 30 minutes later, right back in there again. And then that was it for the flight twice. But both times, long visits. Just got to make sure. And then I landed. And then I walked straight into the bathroom at the airport. It was brutal. All this to say, this was about a 24-hour, by yesterday afternoon, late afternoon, I was like, I kind of feel normal again. So in and out, 2 lines, no waiting at a certain point, and then here we are. But man, I mean, it is, boy, talk about being that close to the thing you love to make the most fun of. Whew.
Yeah, I tell you, way back in the mid-1980s, I'm coming back from Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. They put you on a bus, and I'm headed back to Huron, South Dakota. I don't remember how long that takes. 6 days, I think. It felt like because I got the flu. And there was a little something going around. Like you, I kind of knew what was happening, that I wasn't feeling good when I got on the Greyhound bus, threw the duff underneath. Now, actually, it worked in my favor that I did not get into my civilian clothes before I climbed onto the bus. I just kept my uniform on. A lot of us just put on our civilian clothes. But for some reason, I was like, I'm just not going to change out of my uniform, jumped on the bus. Because people then leapt in and kind of took care of me. Because guess what? The bathroom on the bus, out of order for the entire run. It's out of order. If you need to stop, we can stop. Well, I can't. I've got the flu. I'm barfing like every 5 minutes. And then dry heaving. I have got nothing to puke in. There are no puke bags at that time on the Greyhound bus. Old ladies were pulling bags out of their purse, and people were finding bags and rubbing my back as I was just dry heaving in the back of the bus. Oh, my God. Yeah, they were pretty cool about it, actually.
I always pack a few grocery. I always take plastic bags from the grocery when I travel. You never know when a young soldier's going to need them.
That's what I think. Someone said that to me. You always keep your bags with you. And she's pulling out her little plastic bag there, and everybody's passing me vomit bags. And he pulled over a couple of times, let me go out and clean up, wash my face a little bit, and then you just get back into that rolling, puke machine, because as the wheels rolled, I don't feel good again. But man, no good.
No, not good at all. Candace, any public transportation vomit stories you can share with us?
Yeah, I mean, I've thrown up on a plane for sure, but not like being sick. It was like a hungover situation.
Hungover, sure. Whole different thing. Nowhere near as, people don't give you near the sympathy. If I'd been hungover and reeking like a distillery, the guy wouldn't have said, "Are you okay?" He would have been trying to move his seat. That's how that goes. Tony, anything?
The very first time I flew in my life, I was just a little kid. I was on a plane with my sister going to Montana. I was fine, really proud of myself. I'm a good flyer. The second it touched down and landed, I had to grab for the bag. And my sister still mocks me for that.
Really?
Little vomit boy.
Little vomit
boy.
Was it a small plane or was it a big
full size?
It
was a big full sizer.
Wow. Yeah. Well, back in those days too. I mean, this is it's pretty incredible. In this past year, I've flown back and forth. Had a lot of weekends. Had to get back to Tennessee. And man, the difference from just the latest generation of planes, like things are so much smoother and they also so much faster. I still have everything in my mind from when I first started traveling a lot, which was like in the early 90s. and I still am like blown away. I was the plane I was just on. I swear, I think it was like its third flight. It smelled brand new. It was like so fresh, and there was more space, and the lighting was nice, and of course, no puke bags. Other than that, man, fantastic.
Well,
but you know what? I'm glad I was forced to get up, because if I had found that bag before takeoff, I probably would have used it in my seat, and there's a way better chance for some spillage and a disaster. And then again, I'm on video. iPhones are out. Look at this guy puking. This is hilarious.
I like you brought up the recording thing. We think that people are crazier than we've ever been because everything's being recorded and presented to us at all times because everyone's always recording something. There's probably a lot of behavior that doesn't happen because of self-aware people like yourself. Like, oh, no, I'm not. No. It's going to definitely get recorded.
Sure.
Well, we are a man down this morning. Mike Evans yesterday wrapped up his recorded report with the gift that he would not. That's how he framed it. The gift that he would not be on today. I don't understand. As a television icon passes away, Norman Lear. Wow. We're going to talk about that. We have our own Hollywood report all ready to go at 6:30. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Thursday, December the 7th. Mike Evans, as we already discussed, will not be joining us today. A day off from Michael Evans. But that said, we can discuss some Hollywood news without Mr. Evans because yesterday Norman Lear died. He was 101 years old. In the history of television, few people, if anybody, has had more to say, has had more of an impact, has left more of a footprint or a shadow than Norman Lear. One of the things, if you look around social media and see all of the, not just actors that he worked with, but producers, directors, just from every area, agents, people that run studios, all manner of the entertainment field, people posting tributes. The one thing that most of them touch on is how is it possible that a guy lived to be 101 and we don't feel like he was here long enough? He was just that kind of guy as a man and just that kind of producer. As far as TV goes, this is like Dylan or McCartney or Spielberg, whatever genre you look at, whatever realm of entertainment you look at, there's a short list of the biggest names ever. And again, for TV, certainly for comedy, situation comedies, Norman Lear is on top of that list. The man was responsible. This is one guy, All in the Family, The Jeffersons, Maude, Good Times, Sanford and Son, One Day at a Time. That's just in TV. Jimmy Kimmel said something that was kind of perfectly summarizing it. He said, what other guy, hang on, it's right here. He says, more than anyone, he used situation comedy to shine a light on prejudice, intolerance, inequality. He created families that mirrored ours, showing us a world in which Archie Bunker and Michael Stivic could learn not only to coexist, but to actually love one another. Very, very real family conversations, like they always say, around the Thanksgiving table or around the Christmas table, mirrored for the first time ever on television in this country by Norman Lear.
Yeah. Henry Winkler really kind of said the same thing yesterday.
Art is to illuminate life. It is to put a mirror up so that all of us who are watching can see who we are or where we are or where we're going. And he would do that with a laugh.
I saw a quote from Norman Lear, and he said, we realized pretty early on, if we can get people to care and we can get people laughing, then we can touch on just about anything. I mean, All in the Family, my family watched it, but then again, every family I knew watched it, at a time when TV was, and if you think about TV too, look at the 20th century, all the greatest inventions of the 20th century, you got to put TV on there from 1927 when it first was sort of shown to be operational. What happened post-World War II was, you had radio for decades, and then TV and radio were the two prongs of how information was most quickly shared. When they started inventing sitcoms, it was Leave It to Beaver. It was, My Three Sons. It was The Brady Bunch. And those are all fine shows. But then Norman Lear comes along and says, hey, you know what, man? American life's a little more complicated. And there's a lot more going on, and there's a lot more gray. Nothing's really black and white. Let's like you just heard Henry Winkler, let's put a mirror up to that and talk about it. and show very real things. All in the Family is a show where you can be laughing hysterically in a show. I mean, I just was reading things about Norman Lear last night, and I'm reminded viscerally of specific episodes. There was an episode later in the run of All in the Family where his wife, Edith, was raped. Mm-hmm. I mean, that like, just to even say those words, it's like, oh my God. Right. But I remember seeing that. I remember that being something they were able to discuss on a show that was also incredibly funny. It was like you get people to care about the characters. You're going to forgive them more. You're going to trust them more. It was just honest and open. And then obviously from there sprung the Jeffersons. And then think about Good Times. I mean, the guy was not like working on one network. He had shows, against each other. Every network wanted to be in the Norman Lear business over the years, one day at a time. I mean, we could spend a whole segment on any one of these shows, but think about one day at a time. A single mom raising two daughters, and the beginnings of the idea of there being a feminist protagonist on the show, but surrounded by people who are just in her face about it all the time, and you see both sides of every conversation. I mean, it was just truly phenomenal leap forward in what television could be because of one guy. Yeah, I'm a big fan of being present and being in the moment and taking the good with the bad in 2023. But just looking at this list of shows, it is more than just the shows themselves. It's what the shows brought to our society. The monoculture there were some good things about the monoculture, which is everybody was having very similar conversations back in the day. And man, he was, talk about a guy at the right time. Oh, and by the way, was also a bomber pilot in World War II. He had plenty of life lived before he decided to go into television.
101. That's called smoking it to the butt.
But Rob Reiner was like a second son to him. Carl Reiner and Norman Lear. Rob Reiner's dad, Carl, and Norman were great friends. Mm-hmm. A big part of the funding responsible for This Is Spinal Tap, Stand By Me, and The Princess Bride.
Oh, just those?
Yeah, that's just those three. Rob Reiner's like, hey, so studio's coming up short on the funding. Hey, Norman? Yeah, I got you. Go ahead. Do what you're doing. I mean, he was actually the studio executive. He greenlit This Is Spinal Tap at a time when, nobody wanted to see that movie until everybody saw it. So, the impact, like I said, the footprint he leaves behind is just unquantifiable, man. Life well lived. Thank you for everything, Norman Lear.
And the weirdest but cutest, oddest hat you've ever seen.
Yeah.
That hat.
Yeah.
Yes, who has ever worn a hat like that?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Pretty incredible. Whatever the short list of any, again, just if there's a Mount Rushmore for TV, I think that the four people you name are carved into the mountain that is Norman Lear. Like there's him, and then there's whoever else you want to put behind him. So Godspeed, and thanks for everything, Norman Lear. Let's look back. We have other history to discuss today. Here's some sports history. December 7th, 1963, for the first time ever, something was utilized in television. A director named Tony Verna for CBS Sports figured out how to make instant replay.
Oh, wow.
Army, Navy, on live television, Army quarterback Raleigh Stitchway faked a handoff and ran in for a touchdown. And for the first time ever, CBS played the play back. And it was so weird. The announcer said on air, ladies and gentlemen, this is not live. Army did not score again.
Yeah.
Because he had to say that, because if you'd never seen instant replay and no one had, you'd think, oh, my God, they just ran the same play and scored again. It's unimaginable to not have instant replay. Kind of like, I don't remember the first instant replay, but I do remember when sports broadcast started putting the clock and the score on the screen for the whole game. And thinking, what are they doing? I can't see the whole field now. My screen is full of this clutter. And now, of course, if you put on a ball game and didn't immediately have the score and the clock, you wouldn't know what to do with yourself. Uh-huh. Yeah, things happen. I just love the fact that the guy had to announce, no. They did not score again. We have stepped clearly into the future.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
Billy Idol right there, a man who has been in his life tranquilized by the Thai military to get him out of a hotel he'd overstayed his welcome. That's a true story.
I want that to be my story. I mean,
I
I
know.
don't want to actually have to go. I'm not up to the challenge, to the task rather, but I just want to have that one in my pocket.
The man checks into a 5-star hotel, has a few friends over, turns into a 2+ week binge, just a party of epic proportion. People coming and going all night. The hotel staff can't get through to them. They call in the military. They literally shoot the guy with a tranquilizer gun. That's great. When I read that story the first time and then confirmed it was true, I was like, I got to rethink everything I ever thought about Billy Idol.
Yeah, I don't think if I had heard that when I was younger, I think I would have just quit partying. Like, I'm nothing. I'm a poser.
It's a fact.
No.
No. We all listen. We're all built for different races in this life, Brian. You did. You know what? You got they gave you a car at birth, and you've been driving the hell out of it. Don't sell yourself short.
Wheels are coming off. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how that works. When we were kids, all of us, grew up. We all grew up in very different home environments, very different universes. I'm talking about the four of us here on the show. We've all discussed our family life as kids a lot. Very, very different, parts of the country. Not to mention different family situations, et cetera, et cetera. But within that, we all had rules. We had our own universe. Every family's like a universe. And when you're a kid and you start sleeping over and start hanging out at friends' houses, whatever age that is, it starts to really hit you like, man, every other family's weird. And then at some point you realize, oh, wait, maybe it was our family that was weird, because every microcosm universe, which is a family, has its own set of rules and its own just habits, things that no one even consciously thinks of, but just patterns that develop and become, in quotes, the way it is. And when you get out of your own house and start to look around and realize other families don't do things the way yours does, I mean, we all have those memories, things that you look at and go, wait, really? That's bizarre. And I mean, I can think of everything from going to a friend's house and my friend's mom made spaghetti sauce. Didn't open a jar and pour it into a pan. She made it from scratch. And I just thought, that's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Of course, it was wonderful. It changed my life. Yeah. But there were those kind of things, the rules. And then, but getting back to something I touched on, I realized at some point my family had some weird ones. And a big one was shoes on in the house. We wore shoes all the time.
Oh, yeah. No, that's we couldn't do that.
And if you took your shoes off, you had to have socks on and preferred go ahead and put some slippers on. But I tell you here's one thing that never happened in the Gorman house. Nobody ever walked around barefoot. Ever.
Huh. What was that?
Ever.
Was that just mom? Was it mom just the sticky, sweaty feet? She didn't want tracking around the pad?
I think it was more. I think it was a dad thing. I think he looked at bare feet as something like hayseeds did or something. In his mind, I could be wrong. Yeah, no. I think that was one step removed from having a big thing of straw sticking through your teeth. You know what I mean?
All right. You want to be civilized. Like a bandana on a stick. Like you would be a hobo if you walked around a house in bare feet.
And I remember being as a kid going to friends' houses, and you'd walk in the house, and a lot of times there'd just be shoes right by the front door. And I was like, why is there a pile of shoes there? Like, oh, you want me to take my shoes off? Like, weird. And then friends with bare feet. I just remember thinking, man, what is wrong with them? And then, of course, one day realizing, oh, wait, I only know one house where that doesn't happen, and it's mine.
Yeah, I think I spent most of the summer with bare feet, but we were the hayseed country kids. In fact, it was hard to get friends out to our house. We were 25 miles from like my nearest friend. We were literally in the middle of nowhere. Every once in a while, you'd get someone to come over, and I did. I don't remember what elementary school grade I was in, what age I was, but Scott finally came over for a sleepover. It was a big deal. Now, in our house, we had, it wasn't a crazy rule, like you couldn't have bare feet in the house, but you did have to finish everything on your plate when we sat down for dinner, and everyone took their own portions. And I remember Scott really loading his plate up. And even we all noticed, too. I'm like, wow, man, he's just really like 4 scoops of mashed potatoes. And as he's just gleefully doing this, Dad says, you got to finish everything on your plate before you leave the table. And he didn't say anything. He's a young kid, but you could see his demeanor changed a little bit. Yeah. I remember at some point when we're all watching television, except for Scott, who's sitting at the table and now crying, I can hear my mother saying, Skip, No one's ever going to come out here and stay with these boys if you don't get a little flexible on these rules. And he finally acquiesced and let Scott come in and watch a little television. And I was mortified. He was going to go back to school. And you know what they made me do? And yeah, but there was that one. Joe here on the KQ Facebook page. This might be the winner today. I almost hate to lead with this one. Thank you for all. Suddenly we have a lot of these up on the KQ Facebook post. I'm
sorry, Zep. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to amplify what you just said because I too just read Joe's post and I'm finding myself kind of speechless.
You know what, Steve? Do you have it in front of you? Go ahead, launch into it, man.
I kind of would rather you read this one.
All right. Joe says, I'm reading Joe's post here. I was about 14 years old. I had these friends who were a little on the bigger side. I went to the bathroom right? A little on the bigger side. I went to the bathroom one day because nature was calling. I finished my pee and noticed a rusty old knife hanging on the side of the toilet. I'd never seen anything like that before. I asked my friend, what in the world was that for? He said his family poops big and they have to chop it in half often. I had never heard of such a thing. Some people, the poop knife hanging on.
Oh, my God.
Poop knife. Are you sure that was rust?
Yeah.
Just saying, you know.
It would seem to me that no matter how much you love your family, no matter how much you're confident that you're doing things the right way, the poop knife is the first thing to be taken out when company comes over. Is it not? Wouldn't there be a sense of, maybe the poop knife goes into a cupboard when other folks are here in the house? Or maybe it was old pipes, septic situations. Maybe that's how it had to roll there, but that is just too, I can't even imagine. And of course, Joe followed that up. I could not stop picturing his mom cutting up her loaf. Of course, you go right to that. Oh my God. That's like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in Ghostbusters. Once you see it, you can't stop thinking about it.
Maybe they have a fancy poop knife for company. Little pearl handle on it.
Can we put out the nice knife? We've got the company coming over. The silver knife, please.
Oh, hang on before you go in there. I'm so embarrassed. We have a serrated knife for company. I forgot. Wait a minute. Give me a minute.
Well, at least they're eating well, right? You know you're going to get a good meal there. Rich has a pretty good one here again on the KQ Facebook post. Feel free to call in, 651-989-ROCK. Growing up in Arizona in the early 70s, Dad had a really nice grass front yard. We would like to play in the yard, but Dad said, no playing in the yard, go play in the street. And the rule was you had to play in the street so you didn't mess up the yard. And there was a couple of them on here saying, hey, you're not allowed in the living room. That was quite common. You'd go to someone's house and no. I just cleaned the living room. I know it's the living room, but no one's allowed in the kids weren't allowed anywhere near the living room. They had a basement or, again, get outside.
We had our house in Kentucky when we moved. I was 10. We had a living room, which was the nice furniture. That's where the Christmas tree went. That's where Christmas Day was spent. That's it. That room was never used otherwise. It was just we had the den, which had the TV, and that was just right off the kitchen, and you'd walk carport into the kitchen through the den to get to the back to the bedrooms, and the living room was on the front part of the house, and it was literally like, if you went into the living room as a kid and just sat down with a book and read, no one would have ever found you. Like it was where you went to just get away. Perfectly wonderful room, and that was the nicest furniture too. That was like if you sat down, if you laid down on the couch in the living room and didn't take if you just touched your shoe to a cushion, it was like that was World War III, man. That was a problem. And we have family photos and slides, and the only time that room is ever in a picture, it is literally Christmas Day. It's the day that's where the tree was. So we didn't even get to enjoy the tree throughout the season. You had to go into a room you'd never go otherwise to even look at the tree. I swear to God, I'm just now realizing how weird that was. What the hell were we doing?
What the hell were we doing? Here's another good one. I mentioned taking a bath at a friend's place at my first sleepover, and Dad came in and sat down on the toilet. Yeah. And I froze. I was freaked out. And then his brother came walking in and, just took a leak. They were allowed to walk into the bathroom while you were taking a bath. That never happened in our house. When you were a little kid, Mom would come in, of course. Here's one. Someone said they had to take a bath at a friend's house one time and discovered they had a rule where they had to reuse the bath water. 5 kids in the house.
Whoa! Oh no!
Oh, that's weird.
Your turn. You're number 4. Jump on into the bathwater there and scrub up. I would have. Yeah, I don't even know. And you can't just say things like, "Well, I'm going to skip the bath." You're a kid staying over. You do as you're told. Oh, that would suck.
Yeah, that's not good, man. That's not good at all. It's funny. I had a buddy who. My friend Jimmy Dan, there's 2 things I always remembered about him. One, he had every Beatles 8-track tape himself. Like, he had them all. He only had one older brother. And so they had tons of stuff. Like the money in my house had to go to 8 kids. And I had friends. If I had an only child friend or one of 2 or 3, I was always blown away at how much more crap they had, just generally speaking. And so this family, to me, these were my rich friends in my brain as a kid in Maryland. That said, his mom would wipe paper towels and then hang on to them. She would dry them off for reuse of paper towels.
Yeah, it sounds like something my mom would have done.
I mean, you would just see, like, hanging over the sink nozzle, the faucet, there would be a wet paper towel that was hanging over it to dry every time. And then, sure enough, it would be. And I remember thinking, like, wow. And I look back now and just think that's weird. They were very strict about lights on. And like, if you left a room and left the light on, and we had that in our house too, but I mean, they were like crazy about it. And I do think as a kid, I was like, okay, you're reusing paper towels and you got a real problem with the lights. Okay, but he's got all the Beatles on 8-track, so I'm cool. I can make it work. It's a trade-off. It's a trade-off. Yeah. I like this one. One person said they were eating lunch during a play date, tomato soup and crackers, and they grabbed some crackers and they crushed them with their hands over the bowl. And the friend's mom said, "Oh, no, we don't do that. Oh, we don't do it that way around here." She told this kid, "You have to place the crackers in the soup and then crush them with your spoon."
Why?
But I mean, it's like so many things we just get into and we never contemplate why. We don't ask questions like, what does it even matter? I heard Rick Rubin, the giant music producer and the guy who actually gave me a career, his label signed me and he signed all the checks. He's done a million things. He has a pretty interesting podcast these days. But I heard an interview with him recently and it really made me think about all kinds of things in life. And he was talking about he said, when I was a kid, I would see movies that were like more for adults. And I probably only understood a third of it. He goes, think back to when you were a kid and you would watch a movie with your parents. You missed a ton of it, but you still enjoyed it. You still got a lot out of it, even if you didn't understand it. And he said, I never saw art as something that you had to understand. Like, who cares if you don't understand it? And I heard him say that. And I've been thinking about this so much lately, but you don't have to understand the product, but you should understand the process in a weird way. Like when I think about a woman going, "Oh, no, don't crush your crackers over the soup. You have to break it with the spoon." I just want to think like it doesn't really matter. Why does that even matter? No. I guess it doesn't have to matter, but if that's what you're more comfortable with, maybe she was worried about the crumbs hitting the floor if they were turned into crumbs before they were already soaked in that wonderful tomato bisque from Campbell's.
Yeah, why is that a rule? I had a sleepover at my friend Bobby Simon's house, and he had his grandparents over, and there was an absolute hard, fast rule. If you used the peanut butter, you had to go around the inside of the jar and make the middle part like a horn. And if you didn't do that, you couldn't use the peanut butter.
What?
And I'm like, as a kid, I'm 8 years old. I'm like, yeah, right. You got to be kidding. They're like, oh, no, that's the way you have to do it.
Wait. You put the knife in the peanut butter.
Uh-huh.
You go around, so it's touching the side of the jar.
Exactly.
So that the middle swells up like a
horn. Yes.
What in the world?
I don't know to this day, but that was the rule. The peanut butter rule.
Man, that's there's some just the OCD out there that's just unchecked going on in the world, the way people have to get things done in a day. Unbelievable.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's amazing the things that come to mind when you hear a song. John Mellencamp, or as he was then known, John Cougar's Hurt So Good. In the summer of 1982, that song was huge. And it was on the radio all the time, specifically the radio in the kitchen of the restaurant my family was running and operating and working for free in all summer. It was called Lone Oak Restaurant, and I was the salad and dishes guy. I made the salads, I washed all the dishes, and I was miserable. And that song played We had the station we could get with a clear signal all day was just the local, like, top 40 station. And that song played, it felt like every other hour. And our chef loved that song. And every time it came on, he'd go, woohoo, and he would turn it up really loud. And I couldn't stand it. And the craziest thing that I've ever experienced, and it's a story that's way too long for this morning radio show for one segment, but that chef was the victim of an assault in our kitchen. A guy came in with a tire iron and tried to kill him. True story. And damn near did. Literally just about did the job. And then my brother and my dad responded by damn near killing the guy with the tire iron. Yeah. And it was one of the craziest, without a question, the worst, most violent thing I've ever seen in my life in person. It happened right in front of me. It was crazy. It's like something from a John Carpenter film.
Oh, bizarre.
Yeah, totally crazy story. But like 9 months later, there was a trial for an attempted murder trial. And I was the only other witness other than the guy who tried to kill the chef and the chef himself. I was the only person that could clearly say, I saw him strike the man with the tire iron. So I spent a whole day on a witness stand. It was crazy, right? What? Where is this leading? I'll tell you where it's leading. The night before the trial, we had trial prep, and I was at the district attorney's office for hours. And so I was not home to watch the final MASH episode.
Oh.
The TV show MASH, the finale, the most watched show in the history of American broadcasting. I didn't see it because I was in a district attorney's office going over my memory to make sure I knew what to say on the witness stand the next day. I was the only person I knew. I didn't see MASH. And then 2 years later, I didn't see Live Aid because I was working that day. The 80s were tough for a lot of reasons.
Right. Well, I mean, it doesn't probably make you feel any better at the time that it sucked. The last episode of MASH, that is. I mean, it was just...
it didn't matter.
Humor. Everybody was mental illness.
It wouldn't have mattered. I needed to see it. The CBS replayed it that summer. And make damn sure I was like, wait, when is it going to be on again? Because you had to wait for the replay. We didn't have a VHS machine in our house. I watched it probably 6 months later, and I was like, but because I'd heard, by then I already knew what happened, so it was a bit anticlimactic. That said, all of that to say this: there's a MASH reunion TV show that's going to air on Fox January 1st. That is fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, I'm interested.
The show ended 40. Yeah, the show ended 40 years ago. I mean, March of 83. And now there's going to be a giant reunion broadcast. All the surviving cast members are still going to be a part of it. It's pretty crazy to think. So the Korean War ended in 1953. The TV show about the Korean War ended in 1983, and now it's 40 years since then that we're having a reunion show. In 1983, in my mind, 1953 was 600 years ago. That's what it felt like. You know what I mean?
I had to check.
Pretty incredible.
Alan Alda is 87.
Yeah, man.
What are they going to talk about? They're not going to remember a lot.
Right?
I don't know. I feel like Hot Lips is pretty sharp still.
Yeah.
Sure. Oh, come on. You know what?
Sure.
She was on the show a couple years ago, and she does a lot of animal activism stuff. I love her.
Okay.
Sure.
Do it.
If they knew what they're doing, they would have Alan Alda sitting next to John Mulaney doing Alan Alda. Or, Bill Hader doing Alan Alda.
Oh, he's so good.
Hader's Alda is incredible. Yeah. Oh, boy. But 40 years later. But you know what? I saw that come across the thing today, and I went, I'll watch. Yeah, if I don't watch it live, I'll record it. I will watch a MASH reunion. I will sit there and listen to them talk about what the hell was going on 40 years ago.
Yeah, I think, I'm just out of curiosity, I'm going to tune in. I don't have so much going on in my life that I'm going to skip the MASH reunion. That was a biggie when I was growing up. I mean, and in syndication was a television show I lived with, especially the early years, the Frank Burns.
Yeah.
And who was the first one? Honeycomb, or no, was it?
Charles Honeycutt.
Honeycutt. No, the first one.
Trapper John.
Oh, Trapper John.
Trapper. Yeah, those first years were fantastic. And then I remember talking about sleepovers and being at other kids' houses, sleepover, and they're like, well, that's based on the original movie MASH. Wait, what? There was a movie, MASH? And we watched it, and I went, well, that sucked, because I was too young to understand it, the complexity of the movie, but the television show, brilliant.
Pretty great. Yeah, to your point, too, I grew up well aware of the second round. B.J. Honeycutt, Winchester, all those characters. And it was tremendous. But it was years later when I went back and saw the first few seasons, I was like, oh, this might even be better. It really was one of those incredible shows. I guess it wasn't quite like, they changed out characters. They didn't change out actors. Not like Bewitched when suddenly there was a new Darren one season.
Right. No explanation.
You know what I mean? Like, whatever. Dick York, been in here for years. Yeah, he's gone. By the way, you know why he left the show?
Yes.
What? Why?
Well, he injured his back. He had a terrible injury. He was in tons of pain.
No.
Dick
really?
York. Uh-huh.
And then
something fell on him.
Oh man, that's rough.
Yeah, it's sad.
And no explanation. Just you turn in your favorite show. That's kind of like, it's not like if there's a new Gilligan, but it was kind of like if there was a new Skipper or a new Professor one season, you'd be like, what the hell is this? What's going on here?
Right.
I don't know, man. These things. Also of note, this is important since we're just going down. Here's a little news for you. Another study has given us more information. When we talk about that crazy cat lady we all knew in our neighborhood growing up, she really was crazy. Researchers have found in a new study that toxic parasites live on cats, and these parasites double the risk of developing schizophrenia. And that boost in the risk is brutal for anyone exposed to cats before the age of 25. This on the heels, they've already discovered there are elements in certain types of cat litter that can fuel the onset of schizophrenia. The crazy cat lady thing, 100% real, folks.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
It's fascinating. These cats coming in, it was back in the old Egyptian days they first had cats as pets. They've just been trying to kill us ever since.
Yeah, I don't know. Never trust a cat. I get along okay with cats. They have to be forced into my life. I just don't go along. I've never acquired a cat myself, but I've cohabitated with some cats. I get along with them all right, but I don't know. Well, but I respect them because I feel like I have more of an attitude of a cat than a dog.
Sure.
I can be a bit prickly, standoffish.
Sure. Yeah.
I care about you, but not that much.
Yeah, sure. Kind of on your terms.
On my terms.
Yeah, no, I get it. Any cougar sightings over the last 24 hours? Is that sucker still walking around Lowry Hill, or has he moved on?
Far from it.
Cat. Yeah, we're all devastated yesterday with the breaking news. We're talking about it on the air because he was spotted again, working the Cedar Lake Trail. So a couple of days ago when you were on, the initial one there in the Lowry Hill area, the couple caught it on their camera.
What did I miss?
Spotted again, and now yesterday morning, right in the middle of the show, about 8 o'clock, we get the breaking news that it was smucked. A car ran into it.
Oh, no way!
394 and a Highway 100 killed the big cat right there in the middle of rush hour yesterday morning. And,
man.
Threw it over totaled the car, it sounded like. A lot of damage to the car. The person was okay, thank goodness. And unfortunately, the big cat didn't make it out of the big city.
Then I'm glad I was sitting at home throwing up because that would have broken my heart to have heard.
All right.
At least I.
Real
I can't believe that. How did I miss that? I was still looking at Twitter and stuff. Come on.
Although the boss made fun of us yesterday for making such a big drama out of it. It's like breaking news. It's a cougar.
Yeah.
It was kind of we all kind of bought into the story. It, lit up our imagination. We have a mountain lion. It hasn't happened very often here in the Twin Cities. We have one.
Hey, by the way, fun fact. So, because I said I had to fly to Nashville a couple nights ago, I saw my neighbor across the street, and the first thing he said is, "You see that cougar in Minneapolis?" I mean, this was a big story. The people in Tennessee care. Zepp, you mentioned this a minute ago. I'd be remiss if I didn't go back. Science is now saying there's a few things that are actually good for us. This is, and by the way, great news for everybody. A few things that are very good for us, and let's just knock these out. And specifically this first one. Let's not knock it out right now. I'm just going to share the information. I'm sorry, that's what I should say. This is a study from the University of Sydney in Australia that's found that vigorously fondling yourself can fight all sorts of illnesses. Including cervical infections and urinary tract infections for women. For men, it can help you fight against the onset of prostate cancer.
So you have to be vigorous, though. You can't be gentle.
Well, I think vigorous in this means more like just often, on a regular basis, more often. Just get to know you. You know what I mean? Like the song "I've Never Been to Me." Go to you. Don't be like that woman. Go to you.
Yeah.
Find you.
Done.
Yeah, Mom didn't know what she was talking about. Stay in the bathroom. You're not going to go blind. You're going to save your prostate. And
Also, it lowers the risk of developing diabetes.
Yeah.
It can help treat insomnia and can fight depression. We can all chalk those up to, yeah, damn straight it does.
Yeah.
Here's another one. This is good for you. Diabetes. A study from Tel Aviv University says alcohol, a reasonable amount of alcohol, can very much, in fact, lead to a longer life. Mostly just long story short, just your central nervous system. You give yourself a little break from the normal tensions and anxiety of the day. A glass of wine, beautiful thing to do on a regular basis. Caffeine has the opposite effect and may, in fact, even shorten your life.
Well, that's okay. I balance that by putting the alcohol in my coffee.
See?
Yeah.
There's always a way through the thicket.
Balance.
By the way, this is my new favorite one. Not returning texts. Don't text everyone back. A new study has found people who train themselves to ignore their phone when it buzzes or makes an alert are happier. People who are able to relax and not constantly check their phones had less anxiety and stress than people who are always monitoring for new messages. I'm living proof of that. It took me a while, but one day it dawned on me. I was like, just because it's a text doesn't mean it's urgent. Like, I used to think if someone sent you a text, it really mattered. Even if the text was, "What up, dude?" I was like, oh, this guy must need an answer right now. Since I started ignoring texts, I've annoyed a lot of people, but I'm much happier. I'll be dead honest with you about that. It's great to not look at my phone very often.
I'm still, I still work on that a little bit. I feel like I have to. It's not that I feel like I have to have the last word, although I can hear if my daughter's listening out there texting me right now, really, Dad. But yeah, I still struggle with that just a little bit. Should I respond? And then there's the whole like and ha-ha option that you have. Do I just tack that on to let them know that I've read their text?
Sure.
I don't want them to think that I'm dismissing it. I really enjoyed that. In fact, I chuckled, but they don't know that. So I wrestle with it a little bit. I'm getting better.
Yeah, it's a work. You know what you are, Brian? You're a work in progress.
No, thanks.
God's not done with you yet, Brian Shepp. So I'm not gonna repeat myself. The 92 KQRS. Check this out. The 92 KQRS kickback jackpot is at $13,000. You can meet up with Woody and Bud Light at Willie McCoy's in Chaska during the first half of Sunday's game. It's a 3 p.m. kickoff, second game of the day, and sign up for the kickback jackpot. If the first play of the second half is a kickoff return for a touchdown by either team, you could win $13,000. If not, we're going to roll the prize money over to the next game and add another $1,000 to the pot. Complete contest rules are at 92KQRS.com. Get out to Willie McCoy's with Woody Sunday, 3 p.m. kickoff.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
December the 7th, a day that has been living in infamy for a long time, since 1941. It is, of course, Pearl Harbor Day. Boy, it's crazy to think, to me now, at my grand old age of 58, Pearl Harbor Day about 23 and a half years before I was born. 23 and a half years ago from right now, it was like yesterday. Good God almighty, what's happening to the time? It's just flying by. That's what it's doing. I'm still reeling over the news. I just learned a day late and $1 short that we no longer have a cougar roam in town. We took the commercial break. Okay, in case you're just joining us, if you missed yesterday, I was off the air yesterday. I was sick as a dog. Well, I was sick as a dog who was throwing up anyway. Really, really bad. Thankfully, it looks like it was a 24 in and out thunderstorm in the old Gorman gut. But I missed the whole thing about this guy, and I mean, people in Nashville were talking about it. My neighbor asked me about the cougar. If I'd only known. Anyway,
Don't you think there'll be another one?
I would hope so. I mean, we hardly knew you, Johnny Cougar.
I think the cougar probably spoke of the fine points of the cities here.
Well, I don't know. We want another one in here. They shouldn't be in here. It's the problem is getting back out. It's a lot of highways to cross.
Man, that's a fact right there. Have you ever seen the thing they built in L.A. over near Griffith Park? They've built these overpasses over freeways that are just for the wildlife. Those things are awesome.
Oh yeah, they're
really
all over
cool.
The place out west, and they're pretty cool. They've built these big things, and they put trees up there and everything. It's like to invite them to come, walk over the big interstates. Yeah, we don't have any of those around the Twin Cities. They had to try to make a mad dash. Apparently, that cougar not aware that we have a thing around here called rush hour.
Oof. You can miss a lot in a day, as I've learned. What's going on with the Wild? What have I missed from the Minnesota Wild? Are we still winning every game?
Every damn game. Now, they'll go at it again tonight. I forget who they're playing. Vancouver, maybe, I think, tonight. But on a 4-game winning streak with the new head coach, John Hines. So,
Gotta love it.
Same team as last year, primarily with a few changes in there, but just turn that locker room around, the psyche around, whatever it is. We talk about the coach having the locker room, and John Hines has come in, and I was a Coach Evison fan. Now I'm a Coach Hines fan.
Oh,
but
heck yeah!
4-0.
Well, yeah, 4-0 is a pretty good start. It's really, and by the way, that's true on any level. I mean, I was coaching both my kids in basketball through the 4th grade. And I was the assistant coach on both teams only because the guy that was the head coach, there was no way he was ever going to miss a practice. And I was kind of like, I might not make a practice every now and again. So he took the gig. But we coached together for a year. Both our sons and our daughters, they were the same age. And on the games that he wasn't there and I was the head coach, like the kids played great every time. But if it happened 2 games in a row, the second game they sucked. And it was like it doesn't matter what level of sport you're talking about. First game with a new coach, it's a big boom. It's a big bang. It's you get fresh blood in there. It's a thing. With the Wild, they've gone well beyond 4-0, and like you said, they are at Vancouver tonight, who with a 16-9-1 record, they're playing some pretty good hockey clearly. Yep. But all of this to say, the Wild will be back home a week from tonight, December the 14th, at the Xcel Energy Center, playing those pesky Calgary Flames as they do. And we've got tickets, and we would love to give tickets away to a listener or two. We've got a few people ready to play a game. Tony, today's game, it's the debut of...
something a little different, a little strange.
I don't understand this.
I don't understand. Did you just say what I thought you said? Do you speak English?
Translate, please.
It's like another language.
How you say it?
How you say?
How you say? How do you say?
How do you say that?
I beg your pardon.
I beg your pardon.
The KQ Morning Show presents...
What are you trying to say?
What are you trying to say?
What are you trying to say? Hey, what are you trying to say?
It's always something that bothers me in movies or TV. They have a character who's from a foreign country, and they're struggling to find the word, and they go, how you say carrot cake? And it comes immediately after they say how you say. They instantly know.
Yep.
But, so this is, what are you trying to say? What we're going to do is give you a movie title, but give it to you in a different language, and you guess the correct title in English. Now, it's going to be probably pretty easy, but we like to give away prizes, but there's a couple that are going to be kind of difficult, and today is in Italian.
Yeah, so if somebody falls on their face now, they're going to feel like a real idiot. You just said it was easy.
No.
Wow. Well, it's going to be easy for Ciao Bella over there, Candace Wheeler.
Yeah, I don't know if these listeners can phone a friend, but they might need to.
Wow. Fair enough.
Answer in the background. I don't know. We wouldn't take
This
that
is
away
exciting. This is very exciting. And the Italians love their cinema.
Yeah, they sure do.
Can we take a moment real quick and just reference Cinema Paradiso? Because if you haven't seen it lately,
Federico.
boy.
Yeah, molto bene.
Fellini.
I tell you what, man, you wanna see a grown man named Steve cry? Just throw that bad boy up on the big screen. Ooh, baby. But in the meantime, that's a story for another day, isn't it? Let's give away some hockey tickets. Candace, who's contestant number 1?
Leaf from Minneapolis.
Leaf, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you, brother?
I'm good. I got that 24-hour gut thing going, too.
Do you really? Man, I'm sorry to hear that. If it's like mine, I truly feel for you.
We're on the good side, though.
All right, yeah. It's all downhill from here, my man. All right, so how's your Italian?
How you say, not so good.
Okay. Leaf is paying attention. He's in the front row of class this morning. All right, Tony's going to lead you down the road. What are you trying to say? Let's go for it.
All right, here's your first movie title.
Barbie.
Did you hear that one,
One more time.
We'll give it again.
Barbie.
So Barbie.
Attaboy.
Yes, that is right.
I thought it was a reference to I thought he was saying bada bing, like the Sopranos. But
right.
Okay, that's, you know.
Mm-hmm. All right, here's your second one.
Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer.
That's the competitor to Barbie. Oppenheimer.
Correct. All right.
Man.
Here's your third one. We're going to give you 6 of them. Here's your third one.
Titanico. Titanico.
You say Titanic.
Very good.
Man.
All right, this is
Contestant number 2's on hold right now, stewing. These are easy.
Yeah, this one might be a little more difficult.
L'anticonformista di Top Gun. L'anticonformista di Top Gun.
Top Gun Maverick.
Wow. Very good. I'm very impressed. All right, 2 more.
4 for 4.
How about that?
Casa degli animali. Casa degli animali.
You want to hear it one more time?
Yeah.
Casa degli animali.
Animal House.
Wow, very nice.
Oh, strong.
Yeah, I had no guess on that one.
All right, that one is a little tougher, but here's your last one.
Jurassic Park.
I'm going to go off the rails and say Jurassic Park.
Okay.
Man, that was intense right there, Leaf.
Yeah,
6 for 6.
Couple tough ones in there.
Fat and drunk and stupid is no way to go through a life.
Is it no good?
Oh, man, right on. Leaf's Italian is Candace. I mean, did you have all those, Candace?
Were you? Did.
You sure did.
Did you? All right.
I like Candace's voice when she's thinking about Italian men.
Yeah.
I sure did.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well played, Leaf. We're going to put you on ice for a minute. Who's contestant number 2, Candace?
All right, we have Randy from Winona.
Randy, good morning.
Good morning.
How you feeling, brother?
I think I'm in trouble.
Self-awareness is the first step towards a successful rest of your day, my friend.
Apparently, this first contestant was handpicked by Candace.
Wow. Suggestions of malfeasance coming in right up the top rope, Randy.
A little attitude. Like that.
Nah, I believe in you, brother. Let's get to it. Let's see how you do here. Are you ready?
All right, let's go.
Let's give you a good start here. Here's the first one.
Casablanca.
Casablanca.
Yeah, see?
Nice.
It's easy.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that was easy, I'll admit.
All right, here's your next one.
Fargo.
I didn't quite hear it.
Fargo.
One more time.
Fargo.
What do you think?
No, I don't know it.
You don't have far to go.
Fargo.
Yeah.
Fargo.
There, yeah.
Fargo.
Yeah.
It's just right up the way there. All right, you know what? We're having fun, though. Hopefully we're still having fun. Let's keep this going.
Here you go.
Il Terminator. Il Terminator.
What do you think, Randy?
I don't.
The Terminator. Il Terminator.
Let's get back on the horse.
Randy.
Number 4.
Here you go.
La famiglia Adams. La famiglia Adams.
You're killing me.
Oh.
My Italian stinks.
The Addams Family. La Familia Adams.
Let's keep it going.
All right, we got 2 more. Give this one a run.
Il bambino del karate. Il bambino del karate.
Not a clue.
Oh, you can do it. The Karate Kid.
Oh, man.
Hey.
That's all right. The paint has almost dried, Randy. One more.
I think you're going to close strong with this one.
King Kong. King Kong.
It sounds like in the Congo or something like that.
You're close.
King
Kong.
King Kong.
No.
King Kong.
King Kong.
The mighty ape.
Yeah.
I might have had a connection problem here with some of these, but Randy, we appreciate you playing out the side. We're not going to let you leave empty-handed, brother. 1 for 6, not quite enough, considering Leaf ran the table.
Far from it.
You're getting a 4-pack of tickets, my friend, to the Glow Holiday Festival. Open select dates now through New Year's Eve at CHS Field.
Nice.
Thank you. Leaf, my man. Candace, how do you tell Leaf he was perfect today or he was great? He wins. Throw some Italian. He won't.
Okay, bravo.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You got it, man. 6 for 6. That's wild tickets for a week from tonight against the Calgary Flames. Congratulations. Bravo. Whatever. Nice.
Maybe next time we should use something like Cantonese or Hindi. Just to throw out a suggestion.
Absolutely.
Maybe.
Some of those, I gotta admit, I when you said Casa de Animale, I was like, I got House, but I didn't put together it was Animal House. I was so excited when he came through with that one.
Oh yeah, that was very impressive. Maybe I'll go with Spanish next time.
Out of all 12 of those, I got 3. I just not computing. Don't get it. But I have an Italian friend that I can't understand a word he's saying. I just laugh when he laughs. We have a great relationship.
That's you can do a lot worse in a relationship. Trust me. I love the fact that there's the whole subtext of Animal House where the dean and the mayor have this bit of a bitter relationship, and Carmine DePasto, the mayor of Faber, who is there's this very subtle thing like he might be connected when he looks at the dean and he says, he goes, I don't want a drunken riot in my town. He goes, put a lid on that zoo fraternity or I'll have your legs broken.
Right.
It's so great. And when I was a kid, I didn't understand at all why he would say that. I just thought it was hilarious, but I kind of missed the whole point of that one. I love the idea of the sleepy Pennsylvania college town being run by a mob boss. Just the layers of the brilliance of Animal House. They continue to reveal themselves over time.
A lot of Italians in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh in particular.
No question about that. My wife's family, the Priolas from Reggio di Calabria, they were up in Reading, PA, back in the day. Lot of Italians up there, as they like to say.
See if you can guess this one.
Il Padrino. Il Padrino.
I know.
Candace? Il Padrino?
Go ahead, Steve. You can do it.
Debbie Does Dallas?
The Pope?
No.
I don't know.
The Godfather.
Oh, well,
correct.
Duh, of course.
Il Padrino.
Fair enough.
It's okay, you guys. You guys are cool at other stuff.
How about this, Candace?
Quando Harry ha incontrato Sally.
Whoa.
Quando Harry ha incontrato Sally.
When you something call me, what?
When Harry Met Sally.
No. I've never seen that movie, so that's my excuse.
Can I do one more, Candace? You may know this.
Please.
All right.
Oh, jeez.
Buon hamburger.
Good burger.
Yes.
Oh,
I can't believe you got that right. Good burger.
Oh my gosh. That's pretty good. You've never seen When Harry Met Sally?
No, I'm a loser.
You have not seen that?
The hour and a half.
Really?
Oh, it's adorable.
There's an iconic scene, but it's just romantic crap.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't need that.
Listen to Gus Grump over there.
I'm serious. I love a good movie. I mean, listen, it doesn't stand up. I had to sit through it again, I don't know, a couple of years ago, and I was like, boy, this movie just... There's the scene. I get it, the orgasm, and I'll have what she's having, and then the rest of it I forgot.
You don't love.
Yes!
I mean, I don't like contrived Hollywood crap love.
Let me give this one to Gorman here.
Disorientato e confuso.
Kung Fu Panda.
That's a pretty solid guess.
Do you have a Candace?
Favorite movie, Dazed and Confused.
Yes, very good.
I thought I heard Kung Fu. I got excited. That's one of my favorite movies of all time, too. I guess I should have known that one.
One more for Zepp, because this is his favorite movie.
Magico Mike.
Got nothing for you on that one.
Candace.
Yeah.
Magic Mike.
Yes.
Thank you. That's noticing. Been doing a lot of sit-ups lately. Here's a headline for you. I hate to move on from this. It's killer. Here's a headline for you. Justin Jefferson, a full participant for the first time in 8 weeks.
Oh,
Sam
bring
Ekstrom.
it on.
Mm-hmm. And we're bringing Sam Ekstrom on, our Vikings insider. Get us all back up to speed here following the bye week at 8:30. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. Inspired by a Saturday morning cartoon that used to play in Australia. There was a bad guy on the cartoon, and he had a business card that said "Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap." So it's basically like if Aerosmith had written a song about Scooby-Doo. That's what AC/DC was doing with this one. It was a show called Beanie and Cecil back in the day. Oh, there was a guy on there named Dirty John.
Dishonest John.
Dishonest John. I apologize. You're right, mate. Just keeping you on your toes, Tony. Let's talk about some dirty deeds going on in Sin City this week. The Vikings head west to play the Raiders in Las Vegas. It's time to speak with Sam Ekstrom. He's a host and Vikings insider for the podcast network Locked On Minnesota. Hear him on the
1 minute.
Okay, we'll be with him in 1 minute. He's gonna. Well, you can hear him on the Ron Johnson Show and the Minnesota Football Party and the Vikings postcast after each game, and he's going to be with us momentarily. In the meantime, I can mention this: Justin Jefferson, he's back. And Josh Dobbs getting the start. A lot of people were thinking it was time for Jaron Hall's second start, but O'Connell, or McConnell, as I almost called him, is going with Dobbs again. What do you think of that?
Well, I think he's going to be on a short leash, but, he's done enough to come out, and now with a bye week, they've had a chance to work him in a bit more. I think he's on a short leash, and if he starts turning that ball over, he's coming out of the game. But
see how he does with Jefferson.
Yeah, right?
Whew. What a nice little gift to wake up to and have that on the field. All right, I think we got Sam on the horn with us now. Sam, good morning, sir.
Good morning to you. How are we doing?
We're doing great. I imagine it's a wonderful day for Josh Dobbs. Not only is he named starter, but he's got JJ back. Which of those two things is more striking to you, just at surface level? Dobbs got the start or Jefferson's back? Which one it gives you more to think about?
Yeah, I think the big question is, does Jefferson make Dobbs better, or does Dobbs make Jefferson worse if he can't get him the ball? That I figured that this was the time for Jefferson. I think the team had this circled the whole way. I did not, however, know whether they were going to truly stick with Dobbs. I thought there was a 50-50 chance they would make a change. They didn't. I think that Dobbs showed enough for maybe 2.5 games out of 4 to say that he deserved this to keep the job. Mm-hmm. I also don't think, like you said, as I was popping on, I don't think he has a long leash. I think that they still have backup options to replace him with. So it might be a week-to-week proposition going forward. So I was mildly surprised, but he also did win them a couple games too. So Kevin O'Connell's trying to show some loyalty to Dobbs, and maybe the bye week helped him digest a little more of this offense.
Yeah, I think we had a situation. It's one of those knee-jerk reactions that a lot of people had, but the more that time has passed, especially with the bye week, to think on it, I think it totally does check out. Dobbs is a guy who, the more comfortable he got, probably slipped into some overthinking. He let him, he was so great at just, literally winging it the first couple of games, and as he got more comfortable, do you think he was just putting a little bit too many... He seemed like he slowed down. He was in the pocket too long. Do you think that was more O'Connell or more Dobbs?
I think it was Dobbs. I think it was, certainly O'Connell is trying to teach him more and more how to play the position traditionally within this offense. And I think Dobbs was trying to take that too much to heart and say, all right, I've got this play design and I need to follow through on it. I need to get to this second read. I need to stay in the pocket an extra second instead of just bolting, when his athleticism is such that when he improvises, good things tend to happen. If you look at most of the touchdowns he produced in those first 2 weeks were not drawn up the way that they ended up going. They were total extemporaneous quarterback play. Like, he's just kind of making it up, drawing it out in the dirt as he goes along. Going from the script didn't seem to work as well with him. So I think that every single week is valuable to understand that more, to build chemistry and practice with your receivers. All that's going to help. Is it going to help in time for him to have a true mastery of this offense by the end of the year? I don't think so. I don't know if anyone has true mastery of this offense the way Kirk Cousins did. So this just was your best of 3 kind of average options, and the Vikings are going to see what happens.
I haven't seen much of the Raiders this year. I do know that when they made a coaching change, they started off feeling pretty good, but like the Vikings now, they're 2-2 in their last 4. Anything about the Raiders that you think is a real red flag or something? What concerns you the most, if anything does, about this team right now?
Dangerous player for Las Vegas is Max Crosby, the pass rusher, and he missed practice yesterday with a knee injury. And when I see knee and I see you missing practice, I think that puts his status into question. I don't know if he's going to play in this game. And if he doesn't play, he's got 11.5 sacks this year. The next highest guy on the Raiders has 2.5 sacks. So the pass rush takes a massive hit if Max Crosby doesn't play. And on the offensive side, Devontae Adams has haunted the Vikings for years, but Aiden O'Connell at quarterback is not Aaron Rodgers. This is, he's a rookie, 5th-round pick, kind of like Jaron Hall, who has had a lot of ups and downs. He's very traditional. He's the opposite of Dobbs. He is not going to run ever. So it's really not that scary of a team. And I even read that the Vikings are going to have a majority of fans in that stadium, like 54% are from Minnesota. So it's going to be a strong Vikings crowd. This is not the scariest of games to me.
Yeah, the Raiders have been up against that a little bit. I don't think they anticipated that there in Las Vegas, that so many people would travel there, because Vegas is an easy place to get to. It's a little cheaper fare, and you want to go there and catch a game and do some gambling and a show or two and have a good time. Sam, you get into the minutia of all these stats. How do the Vikings, or I guess of late, how do they do after a bye week? Because some teams really come out charging after a bye week, and other teams, it seems, they just sat a little too long maybe and come out a little flat. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I think this a lot of times comes down to the coaching staff, like how the coaching staff handles the bye and what they come out of the bye with. Last year, the Vikings won their game out of the bye, and that's the only game that Kevin O'Connell's been the head coach after a bye. So 1-0 in those situations. It's so different, right? It's not like we can look at Kirk Cousins' record off of byes because he's not the quarterback. So it is all kind of new, but I think the Kevin O'Connell offense builds upon itself. He's constantly adding concepts that stem from things he's taught previously during the year or things they've installed previously during the year. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some new creative concepts coming out of the bye that haven't been on tape that the Raiders can't scout for. That's a good utilization of their time during this 2-week period, is to get creative and hit the defense with something that's brand new. So I think that's going to bode well for Dobbs, for the Vikings, and they got to get off to some faster starts. I mean, the last 2 weeks they've played an awful offensive opponent that they just haven't been able to put away. So you got to get out faster, give your defense a lead, give your offense a lead, and try to win one easy for once. Too many close games for this team.
Yeah, as topsy-turvy as that whole quarterback situation is on the offensive side of the ball. We've got 5 games here left with Brian Flores, I'm predicting. And his unwillingness to even approach to answer the question probably, he's going to get some offers here, I think, at the end of the season. He's done a great job with this Vikings defense, which, makes them a real playoff contender here at 6-6. This is going to be a fun stretch for the NFC North. We've got the Lions and the Packers in the last 3 games here. What do you think? This defense keeps us in this hunt and gives us a pretty good shot at the playoffs, doesn't it?
Yeah, the number 8 defense in the NFL, just an insane number. They jumped 20 spots. They were 28th in defense last year, 8th this year. We were expecting Brian Flores to improve this group at best to like middle of the league, like 16th, and he's done twice as well as that. It's been an astonishing turnaround. Since week 4, they're top 5 in almost every category, and he's doing it with some defensive concepts that the league has never really seen, with all these 6-man rushes and zone concepts behind them. It's very complex. It's very unique, and offenses don't know what to do with it. I think that if they make the playoffs, that defense gives them a chance. That's a defense that already shut down San Francisco in a game earlier in the year. So I love the team defensively if they can get this offense kind of more consistent and squared away. But sneaking in as a 6th seed, maybe going to Detroit to play in the first round, I could sniff an upset there.
Wow. Sam Ekstrom's with us on the KQ Morning Show. Every week for the last few, the NFC North has just dominated storylines as everybody's realizing. It looks like Jordan Love kind of knows what he's doing. The Bears defense, at least, has really improved throughout the course of the season. Thankfully, we don't have to see them again, but we finish Lions, Packers, Lions. 2-1 in those 3 games would be tremendous at this point, wouldn't it? Because the Vikings, the Packers, as I said, as we saw Monday night, looks like they have their guy at quarterback.
Yeah, and we haven't thought that all year, have we? I mean, I think we started out the first 5 games or so, we said, okay, Green Bay might have something. And then there was a month of time where it was dreadful, and you thought that Green Bay was going to go back to the drawing board. And now we're kind of coming around again. So I guess the lesson is don't be prisoner of the moment, right? Like things could still collapse for Green Bay. Things could still get better for Green Bay. Just as 2 weeks ago, we were riding high with Josh Dobbs, and now we're talking about replacing him. It's like a 2-week league. Every 2 weeks, you got a new opinion. So I think right now we're liking Jordan Love. Jordan Love is charging hard, and the Packers are tied up with the Vikings now at 6-6. But if the Vikings can take care of business against Aiden O'Connell and Jake Browning, the next 2 quarterbacks they face, they can go into those final 3 games 8-6 with a couple straight home games against Detroit and Green Bay, a chance to win 10 and make the playoffs relatively easily. I still think that they're in the driver's seat. They've got a lot of the tiebreakers in their favor, and they can take care of business at home against Detroit, against Green Bay, and put this thing out of reach, and then maybe make that Week 18 game against Detroit in Detroit a little bit less meaningful if they haven't wrapped up already. So it's kind of a good time to get the bye, honestly. A good reset. You get to go into these final 5 games probably healthier, fresher, with some renewed energy after that terrible loss against Chicago. And it's all out in front of you. So I think that going 4-1 in these final 5 is totally doable and realistic.
Are they going to Cincinnati? They're headed to Cincinnati, right? I mean, because Cincinnati beat the Jags. I know without Joe Burrows, they're still putting up a pretty dang good team. And Cincy's a tough place to play. But, yeah, that'd be a big win.
Sam Ekstrom.
Jake Browning. Jake Browning, the quarterback that just won on Thursday night. Former Viking, undrafted Vikings quarterback, kind of cast off. I never expected to see him surface again in the league. And, here he is winning a big game in prime time. That was unexpected.
It certainly was. Sam, time to put your feet to the fire. What's your prediction for the game Sunday?
I think the Vikings win, and I think they're going to do it by double digits. I'm going to go 30-20 Minnesota in front of a purple-clad crowd in Vegas.
I like it. 30-20. You heard it here first. All right, Sam, always a pleasure, brother. We'll check in with you next week.
All right, talk to you then.
Hey, you can always catch up with the KQ Morning Show podcast. Anywhere you get podcasts, go get KQRS, 92.5 KQRS app. Anywhere you find a podcast, you can find this Morning Show podcast. You put it on your time, put it on your schedule. The podcast is, of course, brought to you by our friends at Candace Wheeler.
Devani's
Pizza Hut Hoagies.
The best.
Devani's is the best.
Yeah.
Barbie.
Hey, Tony, I just now realized something. I meant to say it earlier. Happy Hanukkah, brother.
Oh, thank you kindly.
Kicking off today. That's a big day in the Lee household.
All right. Well,
I mean, I would assume. I don't know. It seems like it should be.
I know. I was lucky when I grew up. We celebrated Christmas and Hanukkah because everybody was home on vacation. We had Christmas Day, so nice. I've experienced all the best of all worlds.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You're like a coexist bumper sticker in human form.
All right. Hey, let's Miss that's all. Bobby. Miss Shannon Paul is headlining the Laugh Camp Comedy Club this weekend, and she's joining us at 9. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Thursday, December the 7th. I don't know what you're doing this weekend, but here's something. Here's a tip. Friday, December 8th, and Saturday, December 9th, Miss Shannon Paul will be at the Laugh Camp Comedy Club. That sounds like a perfectly wonderful way to spend your Friday and or Saturday night. 2 shows at 8 p.m. Friday and Saturday at Laugh Camp. And Shannon Paul, Miss Shannon, is with us right now. Good morning.
I appreciate your energetic and enthusiastic encouragement for people to come to my show. So thank you very much.
Well, sure, man. If I can't be energetic at 9 in the morning, what good am I?
I know. Hey, you know what? You had one thing to do at 9 a.m. and you've done it successfully. Well done. You can pack it in for the rest of the day, Steve. You're good.
I tell you right now, I'm going to go ahead and let's print that, or let's do what we have to do with
put
this.
Put it on a T-shirt. Just put it on a T-shirt and you got it.
I'm getting the high five, tip of the cap from Miss Shannon to start the segment. We're gold. We're done. We're off and running.
Fabulous.
Now, Miss Shannon, this is doubly impressive from Steve this morning. You may not know, but he was not at work yesterday. He was barfing his guts out all day.
I heard that.
Can you
Isn't that pretty?
I'm always the next day, I'm a bit pissy and I have no energy. But Steve, man, this guy just trampolines back.
Well, maybe it's just that when you're feeling ill, you have to fully expel all of the germs. So the fact that they are now like a demonic possession has been released, that's probably why he's feeling so spry today.
Shannon,
so maybe next time you just have to do something like a full cleanse next time you're ill.
Miss Shannon is a woman who has clearly walked in my shoes in the past.
I've been there.
You know of what you speak.
Yes, you just got to, sometimes you're like, you know what, I want this fully done. Like, you don't want it to linger. Just let it go out like a volcanic eruption. You're good.
How is your immune system? Do you catch a lot of colds, or do you stay pretty clear?
Is there wood here? Let me knock on some things. I'm usually pretty good. You know, and I'm one of those people that I used to say, I didn't get sick, and then I would get super sick. But I've been very fortunate over the last few years. I've managed to avoid a lot of things. So whatever I'm doing with my probiotics and my hydration and all those things seems to be working thus far. So I'm going to stay with it.
Don't you think part of it is attitude, too? You seem so upbeat and optimistic. So you have a powerful immune system.
Thank you. I do try that. And then I have a couple of those potion-y, like, mystic remedies. Like, the minute people in my circle start getting sick, I'm like, got my fancy vitamin C, like, gel pack things, and I'm just like just dosing all of these things. Like, go ahead, I rebuke the germs and just move on.
Got your gear.
I gotta start using words like rebuke more often.
Yes.
Yeah, with conviction, too, like you mean it.
Yeah, based on what Tony just said and the way he described your approach to life, I'm a miserable bastard because I pick up colds all the time. So
gosh darn it.
I got to work a better attitude.
You got to figure something out.
And the word I rebuke my misery. There
you know what? Sometimes you just got to treat it. You know, I grew up in Arizona, but my grandma was like that old school grandma, voodoo grandma. So sometimes you got to like salt ring yourself. You got to do some things. Put up your wards. Get your potions, and then just say some, like, every time, like, if a germ comes around, it's like, I rebuke you, germ.
So
in the name of all things healthy, you will not have me. No.
How long were you in Arizona? When did you get out?
I grew up there.
Wow.
So I grew up there, and my mom and my 2 younger sisters and I moved here to the Twin Cities in 1996, and we've been here pretty much ever since. Like, I dipped down to Austin, Texas for a year there earlier in my career, and ended up back here and have been back here again ever since. So,
man, that really is a different planet in so many ways, Arizona to Minnesota.
Oh, true. But the thing that is similar, because people usually think that it's bizarre that I came this direction, but I actually think I'm a better Minnesotan than people that were born and raised here, because I chose this place.
Sure.
I chose this place. I'm picked here. I did it on purpose. The only thing that ever makes me want to move is when I moved here, I researched the winters aggressively. Like, I was very prepared for winters here. I'm like, it's going to be blizzardy, and I got a red coat so I didn't get lost in the snow. Y'all could find me. It'd be fine. It was fine. I did not research the summers at all. Like, I presume that any place that got this cold in the winter would be like, 75 all summer long. So the first summer that it hit like 92 and humid, I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're going to live someplace that has a harsh weather outlook 6 months of the year, you're the one that gets to decide. Are you going to be murdered by heat or murdered by cold? I've decided that I like cold better.
Sure.
I wear cold better than I do being hot. So I'm cool with it.
Yeah, we have like 2 weeks in May and then a couple more weeks in September. It's just that's the sweet spot. Because no one thinks of the humidity.
No.
It's oppressive. It beats you up a little bit.
A little bit, a lot. I have voluminous hair, and it gets extra voluminous. It's like I'm ready for you.
Oh, you have fabulous hair.
It's ready for you.
That's what's the average? How much time a day are you spending with that hair?
Oh, nothing. That's the whole thing. It's just I spritz and fluff, and that's why I started wearing it this way because the kind of hair type, we're gonna do Black Girl hair chat.
Please.
My hair, normal hair pattern like I have now, this is just what it does. When I try to have that approximation of that Eurocentric hairdo, that's what takes work. It's trying to figure out how to get it to straighten and lay flat and do this and blow in the wind, and if it gets wet, do like that Bo Derek thing. It doesn't do it. But this, I can do this. It's just it just does. It has its personality, and today it's all like I'm feeling cute. Let's go.
Well, Steve, you can jump
Let's
in
do
on
this.
this black woman hair talk.
Exactly.
She's got black
You
woman
always
hair.
look
Steve
cute
does.
too. You have the cutest outfits, and yeah.
Thank
I think
you,
Tony's
Candace.
right. I think the way that you present yourself and your attitude really keeps you healthy and stellar.
Thank you very much. And that was one of my favorite things. Not that I didn't want to talk to you gentlemen, but I haven't gotten to see my friend Candace in a while. So
Yeah.
I'm like, we get to check. We used to see each other a lot, and then it just life.
Right.
Life, and now we haven't seen each other in person in like a year and a half?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But I'm happy you're working a lot, and it sounds good.
Thank you. So it's been fun, and I've been really fortunate because the comedy and the things that I get to do for my career, that's part of my gratitude practice all the time. I'm very fortunate that this is my gig, and that as far as my life goes, that's not the hard part. Showing up and being funny and being able to connect with other human beings, that part I love. The hard part of my life is parenting my 15-year-old son.
Wow.
So trying not to mess him up and navigating that's what I'm like, okay, this is the challenge. Showing up, that's playing with friends.
The Cyclone Kid, I believe, is who we're referencing.
Oh, thank you for noting. Yes.
A 15-year-old boy, at best, is a nightmare.
I love him. He is my champion. He is a 15-year-old boy who also has an autism overlay.
Okay.
And so there's some days that I'm like, which is this? Is this just you're 15 and you're just a monster? Or is it a layered thing? So we just navigate these different things. And it's funny when he leans into his teenagerness. And so he's like, more pizza, please, Mom. I'm like, where did that voice come from? First of all, and I'm like, you can at least be nice. Like, I love you. Pizza. And I said that, and then he scurries away, and I'm like, cool. But he's a big dude, and he keeps me honest and humble is what it is.
Yeah, but I don't doubt that for a second. Everything in life. Everything can be challenging. And just speaking as a former 15-year-old boy myself, I feel for you. And no matter what that is. Now your podcast, Be Our Geek. I want to ask you about this.
Sure.
You talk about having a lot of nerdy hobbies, interests. You're a geek.
Yeah.
But you're telling me you're an old school geek because the nerd thing has been co-opted by people who think it's cool to be a nerd.
Yeah, and I think it's cool to be a geek, but here's the thing. You know what? I take that back. I don't think it's cool. I think I'm interesting. I'm not cool. Mm-hmm. Like, if I wanted to be cool, I would have been like you, Steve, and I would have been in a band and learned how to play. I don't do anything that's cool, but I am interesting. Mm-hmm. I am a conversation, and that part, I'll take that and put that on my T-shirt. I'm like, I'm interesting. But I mean, I grew up liking comic books and the escapism of what we get to do if you're a big fan of superheroes and even all of those tentpole nerd and geek properties, like reading Lord of the Rings when I was a little kid and wanting to go down, into a looking glass and all of that escapism. So I still lean into a lot of that. Although I desperately want dragons and I love dragons, I'm not a big Game of Thrones person,
Okay.
and I don't do a lot of zombies, I'm not those things. Because I again, when I think about the reasons that I got into sci-fi and fantasy, it was because I wanted to be able to visit these places. And even if something was really dark happening in Gotham, I'm like, Batman will work it out. I'll still go visit. I don't want to go to Westeros. Anybody who's a Game of Thrones fan, I'm not going. No. Nothing good happens to anyone.
Yeah.
Ever.
Right.
Oh, that's
Ever.
scary.
It's scary. It's miserable. You're burned at the stake or dragged through the street. None of that. So I don't lean into some of the newer dark fantasy, but I'll still I'll go anything else. If I can dress up like a superhero, I'm good. I got 2 lightsabers in my studio at home. I'm good.
Yeah.
So when in doubt, Let's go play.
All right.
Miss Shannon, we were talking earlier. Norman Lear died yesterday, 101 years old. I mean, when you look at the shows that man was responsible for a couple of decades, he was at the absolute forefront. I have to think between All in the Family, the Jeffersons, Good Times, One Day at a Time, some of those had to be a part of your childhood at some place, right?
You know, I've watched a lot of those, and I've done a rewatch recently because I have a friend of mine who's really into like holiday episodes of things. So we rewatched some of the holiday episodes of things like All in the Family and some of these other things.
Yeah.
Because everybody's a geek about something. That's what we talk. So every time he comes on the podcast, we go through a series of these. And we did go through a lot of things like some of the holiday episodes of like All in the Family, and just really seeing how amazingly progressive and subversive some of the topics were and what they would cover back then. And the cool part is I'm glad we were having those conversations back then and they were starting these. The part that I'm disappointed in is that we're still having almost verbatim the same conversations, and people are still going, oh my gosh, this seems so shocking. But we've been having these same conversations when Norman was trying to go, here, let's put this into, on everybody's, we didn't have flat screens back then. Let's put this into their living room and their tube and see what we can do to get middle America to have these conversations in an eye-opening way. And so the fact that we're still going, I'm so surprised that this is the reality, that part kind of disappoints me in humans.
Yeah, I think there's a lesson, too, in that we can take is that it's okay to have a lot of gray. You know what I mean? Like the whole point is the conversation, we don't have to get to the end of the conversation and all agree, but airing it out, putting everything on the table, it certainly diminishes the pressure and the buildup. It's like, hey, it's okay. We're all still here. We don't have to agree on everything, and that's perfectly acceptable. We've gotten to a place, I think, where it's either my way or the highway, and that's obviously more dangerous than full on disagreeing.
And if you go back and you look at there's an episode where Archie Bunker and Edith goes through this existential crisis because a good friend of hers is basically hate crime murdered, and this is a comedy, and so it's her having this crisis of faith. Because how could this happen if the God that she believes in could do that? So for them to have this episode where you're still hearing the laughs and Archie trying to comfort her but doing a terrible job because he sucks, and those things, it's really worth watching some of those things and seeing how they framed it, because it is, that part I think is just beautiful. With the way they managed to work it. And that's what I love about what we can do with comedy is, you can use it to start conversations and to get people to go, oh, wait, I hadn't really seen it from that particular perspective, and hopefully give them something to think about, and that they see it as something for them to be able to think about, and that we're giving them this opportunity versus having somebody go, oh, well, I don't think it's funny because I can't relate.
Right.
Well, you just think a little harder. You'll be okay. You'll be okay.
That's a very good point. Miss Shannon is at Laugh Camp tomorrow night and Saturday night, 8 p.m. both nights. As a kid, did you ever have a minute? You mentioned you didn't learn an instrument. Was there a musical idea? Did you ever think maybe I will pursue singing or playing an instrument?
I wanted to play the drums, and my mom said no and made me start taking flute, and I hated it. But, I mean, I've always wanted to be a writer, so when I look back through things, I have a folder that has a bunch of song lyrics, because I was like, I'm going to be in a band and I'm going to sing. And I can't play an instrument, but I'm like, I wrote these songs. And I'm like, one day I will be with musicians and I will go now make music of these things. And so every once in a while I look back, and they're like I'm old enough that I had a typewriter. And I was very proud of myself. So they're typed out. And since I was growing up in Arizona, it's funny, I was like, emo enough that so many the theme is like all about monsoons and rain and all these things, because that wasn't, to me, that was the fantastical part of it, and how all my emotions were all so tumultuous because of this. And so I'm like, dang, Lil Shannon was a lot. She was a lot. I look back through that, or a journal that I had when I was in college. I'm like, you took yourself, like you were the most and I'm still extra, but back then I was like, I'm going to be an author, and I'm going to this, and here's this song, and just all the emotions. And so that still leans into a lot of like my musical taste. I like the storytelling of things. And so that part, I was sure I was going to be in a band, and none of it happened. None of it.
I think so far you're doing it right, though. You're where you're supposed to be. As far as storytelling goes. First concert you ever saw, what was it?
My mom took me to see the Jacksons.
Oh my God!
Yes, wow. And so I had a cool mom. My mom was cool like that.
It's a home run right out of the gate.
And it was the one where they did "Can You Feel It?" and then there was that rain of fire. And I remember just like that sheet of fire just coming down with them, like, and the big jumbotron. So Tiny Shannon was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." And
I bet she was.
So that was, I was really fortunate because we didn't get to do a lot. So when we did it, my mom was like, no, she was very intentional about stuff. So that was cool, and I appreciated her taking me to that because it was my mom, it was just she and I. So we would be good partners on some stuff sometimes. So that was fun.
That is awesome, man. Holy smokes. Tomorrow night and Saturday night at Laugh Camp. Miss Shannon, it is a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you all. It was wonderful to have to come and hang out with you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. We'll hopefully see you again soon. Candace has something you really would love to share with our audience.
Oh, yeah. We got a big concert announcement.
Oh!
This one's going to be awesome, and I have
me.
Seen these guys at Target Field, and it was so awesome. It was so much fun. Def Leppard and Journey with Steve Miller Band, Monday, August 19th.
Oh, with the kind of casually. Oh, by the way, Steve Miller might swing by.
Yeah, I mean,
Journey and
sure,
Steve Miller.
Yeah, Steve Miller is awesome, but Def Leppard and Journey, Target Field, they did this show about 5 years ago, and it was so dope. Target Field, Monday, August 19th, and we're going to give a pair of tickets away right now. Text SUGAR to 651-989-ROCK.
And bring your dope. Smoke it if you got it.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. I have had enough coffee for the day. Just letting you know, I don't need any more caffeine.
Cutting yourself off already?
I've had like 4 cups.
Right.
What?
Well, nap time anyway.
You're going to have to pee.
Yeah. That's how it goes.
4?
For healthy adults, the FDA recommends no more than 400 milligrams a day. That's the equivalent of about 4 cups of coffee or 6 shots of espresso. 2 cans of a Prime Energy drink. What the FDA probably is not recommending is right now you go jack yourself up on Panera's Charged Lemonade. Have you heard about this?
Oh, yeah.
There is now a second death linked to the Charged Lemonade at Panera. The word charged apparently is some people are missing out. That means it's heavily caffeinated lemonade. Mm-hmm. A 30-ounce large Panera Charged Lemonade has 390 milligrams. That's what they say is, that's about 400. That's what you want. But apparently a lot of people are unaware of the caffeine, and they're just going back and getting refill after refill. And now 2 deaths have been linked to the Charged Lemonade. Holy smokes.
Yeah, they're dumb.
Yeah, well,
you know what you're putting in your body, right?
I mean, there must be a signage issue. I don't expect much from a Panera, but I would expect them to say, oh, by the way, this lemonade has caffeine. I don't normally associate lemonade and caffeine.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's not there in that's not how they're selling it as a caffeinated lemonade. It just says lemonade.
Well, I don't know. It just they calling it charged. I shouldn't say. I haven't seen the signage, but I would just think that the word caffeine, if it's not in there, it certainly should be.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like saying, here's some water with caffeine. Lemonade doesn't have caffeine generally. I would just assume that I don't know. Who knows? All I know is this. I just looked at that headline twice and I'm like, wait a minute, what? Caffeine and lemonade? What the hell are they talking about?
Yeah, that's intense.
That is pretty intense. If you had billions of dollars, we always say, what would you do with it? What would you really do with it? Would you build rockets? Would you go to space? Would you do all you could to be confused for Kenny Chesney, as Jeff Bezos apparently has been doing lately? Every time I see him, I'm like, he looks like a down on his luck country singer. I tell you what he does is usually kind of like, Yeah, whatever, dude. What his ex-wife is doing is pretty amazing. Mackenzie Scott, ex-wife of Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos, she's worth $39 billion. And what is she doing with it? She's just giving it away the way you should. Yeah. And a bunch of Twin Cities organizations are the most recent benefactors. She's giving $26 million to 6 metro area organizations. That's part of the $2.2 billion she gave away this year.
Amazing.
I mean, it's incredible. Southside Community Health Services in South Minneapolis, the City of Lakes Community Land Trust got $10 million. The Southside Community Health Services got $2.6 million. Again, she's just giving this money away. And unlike most major philanthropists, she surprises nonprofits with these donations. They aren't asking for them. She just does the research. She just calls people and says, I got money for you. Do you want it? And all of her gifts are unrestricted, meaning nonprofits can spend the money any way they want. I mean, it's incredible to see someone actually just, well, I mean, you got to hope that they're not going to do that.
Yeah, right. Well, that's why I'm sure she vets these, and I'm sure she's not doing it by herself on a laptop. I'm sure she's put together a group of folks that are vetting these and doing their research and knows how this money's going to get applied.
But you should just show up with a big bag with a dollar sign on it.
Pretty much.
I'd be milking it like a Santa thing, right? My ego would want something out of it. She's not doing that, but I think I'd have to.
And by the way, I would support that. You know what? You need a little ego boost, but you're going to give someone $50 million. Go for it, brother. Get what you can out of it.
Santa suit and do it. All right.
She's clearly done the math, which is okay. I've got $39 billion, and if I give away $38 billion of it, I'll still have $1 billion, which is more money than the average person can even begin to imagine.
That's great. It's a human thing to do.
It really is. It really is pretty great to hear somebody actually doing that thing that we all say we would do.
Well, I mean, don't take anything away from her ex, Jeff. I mean, look at all he's done for the yacht builders.
That's exactly right. He sure did. Oh, man, where would they be without him? If he didn't have a 440-foot sailboat, somebody would not be having caviar right now as we speak.
Yes.
Hey, speaking of yacht building, on a different note, Chris Jericho's rock and wrestling Rager at Sea is back for its 5th installment. They're calling it 5 Alive, and we're going to send one winner and a guest on this sold-out voyage. You will sail from Miami to Cozumel on the Norwegian Pearl for a 4-day adventure combining the best rock and roll, wrestling, comedy, live podcasts, paranormal explorations, and all-around outrageous moments, yes, in the middle of the ocean. Right now, text the national keyword SAIL, S-A-I-L, to 95819 to enter for a chance to win. Damn.
I've never done a cruise, and I guess it just doesn't appeal to me. Who were we talking to the other day that mentioned the Alaskan cruise? Because
Robert Smith.
Thank you. Robert Smith was talking about that. That is something that I'd like to do. I'd pencil that in if I can ever get around to it. But just generally, it just doesn't capture my imagination. But I feel like I'm the person they went after. Like, oh, we can't capture your imagination. How about this? And they just keep adding crap until I'm like, all right, I want to go really bad.
That's it. Yeah.
I want to rock and rager at sea.
The all-you-can-eat buffet didn't do it for you. You had to get the paranormal explorations to make it worth your while.
All of it, man.
Now, you know what I always say? I'll take my Legionnaire's disease on land. Thank you very much. Let's look back. Let's see. It is December the 7th. On this day in 1963, the future happened. During the Army-Navy football game, which was being carried live on CBS, director of the game, a guy named Tony Verna, had been messing around in the truck or in a studio, and he came up with something he thought would work. It was the first ever instant replay. 1963, Army's quarterback faked a handoff and ran in for a touchdown, and a few minutes later, CBS showed the play again. And it was so mind-blowing, the announcer of the game, a guy named Lindsey Nelson, said, "This is not live. Ladies and gentlemen, Army did not score again." I love that. I love the idea of the actual, like, the guy on the mic being so freaked out. He had to stress at home. No, they did not just run the same play twice in a row. Fantastic. Hard to imagine a life without instant replay now. In fact, I can't tell you how many times while watching a game, I'm screaming, "Show it again," if it hasn't shown itself again within 4 seconds.
Yeah, replay. Where's the replay? Boy, I bet they were all talking about that on Monday morning around the cooler, weren't they?
Oh my God! Can you imagine? No, did you see the game? Well, they showed the guy score, and then guess what? They showed it again. No,
Wait,
he
what?
didn't score again. All right, so the future is here. It's upon us.
The KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.